the best console Rust player, a title that any player on the game would have. But like anything, putting the label best is subjective to everyone's views. Just like football, there's Ronaldo and Messi, basketball, MJ and LeBron, tennis, Federer, Djokovic and Nadal. But with Rust, it's a little different. Console Rust has surpassed 2 years since its released on May 21st, 2021. And since then, the title of the best console Rust player has been thrown around a lot in the community. The sad reality of this title is, what do you have to do to get there? Have great game sense? Have great recoil control? It's not about having it, it's about how you achieve this. And in the last half a decade, achieving this goal has become faster and unfair. With the cheating devices Zim and Zen growing more popular day by day, we struggle to see who the best player is on a controller with no aim assist whatsoever, which is now hard to tell more than ever before. However, since being a part of the Rust console community since beta, I've seen a lot of good players that have come onto the scene. One most notably, CNQR Unknown. However, this video isn't biased and isn't for unknown. There's one player in particular that sticks out in my mind when we talk about who the best Rust console player is or has been. Before all teams were sweating out the game and players started investing in cheating devices to get to the top much quicker, there'd be one player that a few of us would look on YouTube and think, how is he doing what he is doing? So the question still remains, who is the best Rust console player? For today's video, we're going to be deep diving into who potentially is the best player that we've seen on a legit controller. Rust was first published December 11th, 2013, with the company and creators Facepunch taking a variety of notes from different survival games, one most notably DayZ. The PC version is coming up to its 10-year anniversary, but 2 years beforehand, a company named Double 11 took on the challenge of porting a PC game to console. Where some people would say impossible, D11 accepted the challenge, optimizing it for both new and old gen. And after a successful beta, it was then released on the 21st of May 2021. To say the game has changed from 2021 up to the present day of 2023 is an understatement. It has improved tremendously, both fundamentally and graphically. But one of the more interesting topics would be, which way would the community play this game? Whilst there was a lot of people left dissatisfied with how Rust console was running, or whether they had played this game before or watched it from content creators on PC, there was still a lot of people that have been playing this game for the very first time. So at first, they just thought this is how the game is supposed to be played and this is how it looks. With Rust being an open world survival based game, there are a lot of topics we can deep dive into and expand on who's dominated which server and who creates the best bases on the game. There's one subject within Rust that always gets brought up, which is recoil control, more specifically PvP, player versus player. Rust implemented a recoil pattern, which is something that bigger games such as Call of Duty lack. Recoil pattern just adds to the challenge of the game. You have to have good game sense, and that alone in a survival based game is hard. But to also control the weapon's recoil, this is one of the things that gave Rust its name. When Rust came to console, there was very little players that were cheating, and those who were, they pretty much had no idea on how to really set it up, and as well, they were just finding out of how to use their devices. So the game was very much fresh, just in terms of the game, but also the community playing it as well. However, this over time changed dramatically. Another first person shooter such as Rainbow Six Siege is a game that's been out for a very long time. The community is not known for being the best. This game also has a recoil pattern function. However, a lot of these players either came from PC or are new to console and wanted to play mouse and keyboard, thus them investing in the device known as a Zim Apex. And slowly but surely, this community paved its way and became a part of the Rust console scene. And for those that didn't want to play mouse and keyboard, they had another way of going against the recoil pattern within console. That device was called a Zen, where when plugged in to your console and setting up the gun that you want to go against in terms of the recoil pattern, the script would do the recoil for you, leaving you just having to move left to right. These two devices would become very well known within the Rust console community later down the line. And speaking in terms of today, of 2023, a lot of players use these. But before the dark times of Rust console even were thinkable, the community was predominantly legit. when the game first came out. Not even a month had gone by, and a channel named AD Rust uploaded his first video of Rust Console, June 10th, 2021. His video consisted of over 3 minutes of just PvP clips, showing not only he was able to stand his own and be able to somewhat control the recoil already with a month, not even a past of this game's release, but he would go out in the most valuable loot in the game. Something to add was his description of his first video, which he said, some PvP clips over a few wipes. Sadly, a lot of console Rust players right now don't know the game, so finding geared people for PvP is hard, which suggests he's either watched this game being played or he's played it himself on PC, or he knew about the game and this was his first time playing it. However, he had a better game sense than the majority of the community since everyone was new. AD ended up achieving over 1,000 views on his first video. Considering the game hadn't been out for a month, it wasn't bad going. Sure enough, he uploaded his second video to the channel only 7 days later. This, like his previous video, was another PvP montage, more specifically M2 and taking heli. And this is where AD picked up a lot of recognition, whether it be bad or good. As time shortly passes, AD uploaded his first raid defense, which was June 25th, 2021, and only considering the game had come out a week and a half, 2 weeks, it looked as if there was a lot of PvP and a lot of raiding. More raiding arguably that goes on today with the game. This consisted of AD getting an M2 and absolutely ripping the other team to shreds. And after that, raided their sorry excuse for a raid base and then raided their base, however they had hopped off. However, everything that was going on in-game didn't matter. The content was building, the PvP was flowing, and slowly but surely, AD as a player was going to get more recognized, especially in the content scene. Already, it was July 19th, and the skill gap between AD and a lot of players on this game was very clear. With some of these moments, some of the best that I've seen, especially for his time, which is the best way to explain a player like AD. There's players on games that are just completely ahead of their time and everybody else, and some clips in this video show that. AD's next raid defense video had clocked nearly 3,000 views. This video in particular, you can really see how this player was one of the best on the game at that current moment. Comparing from his first spray in his first video, it's evident that the recoil was being controlled. Bearing in mind, this was just over a month of the game being out. Some of us were still learning to build at this point, whilst players like AD were already out with AKs taking everyone down that they saw. But there was a recurring comment that kept on coming in his videos: what was your sensitivity? You nearly have 10 videos on your channel of you just straight PvPing, and people can clearly see this guy was dropping bodies. So how did he do it? What was his sensitivity?
So a lot of people have asked for me to make a YouTube video on Rust settings and my AK spray.
AD provided us with his settings and a how-to on the AK recoil. At this point, considering I'd never played the game before, I was thinking having a spaz was good. Coming across a video like this, already learning the hardest gun in the game, bearing in mind I'd never had one before, was pretty insane. And for anyone that had never played this game before, up until now where the recoil is significantly easier than it was, this is what the AK recoil was at the start of this game.
So you can see how bad that is.
Just to get an even better understanding of how good AD was as a player to control the recoil like he did. This was one of, if not the first, Rust Console settings video that we would have seen on YouTube. Unsurprisingly, this clocked over 9,000 views, which by far was his most viewed video to date, and the comments were very appreciative of this video. However, this merely was just the catalyst of what was to come for AD. August 9th of 2021 is when AD released his next video, which was entitled Rust Best AK Spray on Console PvP Montage. With all the comments flowing in, giving praise and admiration to AD's recoil control, it was somewhat justified to put in the title that it was the best on the game. The views on this video catapulted to 31,000, with again people in awe of his AK recoil control. Throughout August, AD was just uploading back to back PvP montages, each video getting better and better and better, with the positive comments flowing in as always. Since AD's first Rust Console settings video, his videos were blowing up each time. It was almost as if everyone that had doubted him being legit had their answers that he was fully legit and wasn't on strike pack, Zim or Zen. The date is now August 27th. Being one of, if not the best at the time on the game, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to be accusing you of cheating. Now, this wasn't something out of the ordinary for AD, and he was always quick to shut these accusations down. And clearly he felt the first settings video didn't do him justice and didn't put the conversation to bed that he was cheating. So for his next video, he performed an AK spray with the first controller hand cam.
In my videos recently, there's been the odd comment, well actually a lot of comments about mouse and keyboard, you're using mouse and keyboard, you're using strike pack or...
One of the very many problems that the player base for Rust Console faced was if a person was legit or not. Now whilst there would have been cheaters playing the game at this current stage, it was nothing like what it is today. And instead of people cheating, it was most likely due to old gen players going up against new gen players. And when we talk about old gen, you can go back a couple of years or you can go back to nearly a decade. And the gameplay and FPS would vary from console to console. So for the most part, the cheating accusations for anyone that was semi-good at using a gun whilst being on new gen was not because they were cheating, but mainly down to the console they were playing on. And this game for a lot of us made us invest into a new gen console. This game is far from perfect on new gen, let alone old gen consoles. Within this video, AD made a valid point that it seems the community of Rust Console has lost sight on, and that is the recoil pattern and how good should your spray really be.
My spray at the last like 10 bullets isn't that perfect because 90% of the time I'm killing someone in the first like 15 bullets. I can hold a full spray, but I just don't, I'm not as good on the last 10 bullets as I am on the first 15. If he's not dead by then it's a problem.
Now with today's recoil being significantly easier, as well as having aim training servers and build servers to practice your spray on for however long you want to, it's not that hard to post a TikTok or to post a YouTube clip of you spraying 30 bullets perfectly. But AD's point wasn't to do with having to spray 30 bullets. A couple days later, AD then posted his next video, which was another PvP montage. Straying away from his recoil control, it was evident as to how players were evolving playing this game and the style they wanted to play in. You could see more people were coming out geared with tier 3 and tier 2 guns. It seemed as if the PvP was well on the way to being the main thing that players did in this game. But that wasn't all that this video was covering. Towards the end of it, AD brought up that his clips were being used on a cheating channel on YouTube that promoted cheating on the game, and used his clips as if to say he was using the scripts.
My video, they'd edited it, put different music on it, and they were promoting it, although obviously I do not use cheats. They were pretending that I was using cheats to make people then buy it from them. And I just wanted to clear this up that I'm in no way involved in this at all. They stole my video and then uploaded it. I striked it and I commented on it a few times, and he's now shat himself and put the video on private. So yeah, I get enough comments about cheating as it is. That's why I had to do a controller cam and all these other things just to prove that I'm legit. And I don't need any more comments saying that.
Now imagine your legit controller clips on a game you've been playing for a little over 2 months were being used to promote cheating scripts. Now that is the biggest ego boost and compliment anyone could ever get. And as time passed and more PvP montages were uploaded, one most notably Snowball Rockter M249, which to me as an OG brings back some really good memories, as this was all in Airfield, which at the start of this game was where the main PvP was at. October 7th, 2021. The next video that AD uploaded was my new AK spray thanks to D11. This is where they updated the skin store and implemented a new recoil mid-white. This new recoil would be significantly easier than the recoil the game had prior. Put into perspective, this is the recoil now compared to the recoil that we had back then. The first 2 wipes of Rust Console had the PC recoil, and for people thinking it was too easy when they changed it, that was because they wanted to make a recoil that was more suited to an analog stick on a controller rather than a hand and arm controlling it on a mouse and keyboard. As much as this would be a pleasant surprise to most, the dark times of Rust Console were just getting started with how easy it was to then create scripts to go against this recoil. The day they changed the recoil from what it was to what it is now, anyone that was legit, you could see how much people were improving very quickly. And whilst a lot of people were happy with this, AD voiced his opinions in replying to a comment. The idea is great, however it's just too easy now. They will hopefully tweak this a bit in stage and branch and make it more comfortable. This is where you saw so many more comments being seen in AD's comment section, voicing their opinions as well as to how easy the recoil is, and that there's not going to be any competition as everybody we can be. Putting into perspective that a lot of the players were legit around this time of Rust Console compared to what it is now, filled and infested with cheaters. Changing the recoil to make it that easy compared to what it was is in comparison how people are using Zen and Zim, which makes you wonder, if the recoil was then made this easy, why did people start cheating? The recoil change completely changed how players started playing Rust Console. The next two videos you could see AD's spray was just 100 times better due to the recoil change. However, it wasn't until the much anticipated Oil Rig Monument was released on console for it to be AD's most viewed video. His first video covering the monument with gameplay had reached over 50,000 views. Bearing in mind, at the point of Oil Rig dropping for Rust Console, this in mine and a lot of the community's point of view was the peak of PvP for this game, where because of the recoil being reduced to make it more easy to control not only the AK but multiple weapons, this was where the game had the best of both worlds in terms of a lot of legit PvP with only a few cheaters on each team, which would then rapidly change as time went on. Oil Rig was the beast for PvP when it dropped. People kept on taking it on repeat. The first day of Rig for me, when CNQR had a solid team, this wipe in particular, Rig was just getting taken by multiple teams as we announced that we were playing on a server called Flow 9R. So multiple teams had joined up to play against us. Teams and players would do a bit of farming and then announce that small or large was out, and continuously that's how people were PvPing on the game. It was truly the best time to be active and playing this game if you were a fan of PvPing one another. And this goes without saying, it was evident in AD's videos, as both of his Rig videos, one reaching 51,000 views and his second one at 15,000 views. December 17th, 2021 was AD's third and final settings video that clocked over 23,000 views. With the new update of the recoil tweak and new settings being added for you to further go in depth of the best settings for you, whether you wanted high or low sensitivity or balanced, AD briefly covered this, especially with the AK. The same time that the recoil was tweaked, aim training servers were added to the PTB version public test branch, which is essentially where all the updates are played and tested to see if they are ready for main branch. So whilst they made the recoil easier, they also made it easier to get better. And this would be the beginning of the end for AD on Rust Console. Over the last 6 months, AD was known as the best AK main player on the game. People had supported his PvP montages since he first started uploading. However, due to the recoil being tweaked, everything changed. Because of how rapid people could get better, not only because the recoil was easier now, but we had aim training servers. So those people looking up in admiration to AD's PvP montages with the AK were now getting better themselves due to the recoil change, so there was less content to be made regarding PvP and recoil spray control. Whilst the PvP was dying, the wipe progression content was only getting started, with known names such as Obi and Harvey's GG, who are to this day still creating the same content. AD's next video, which had 15,000 views, was making that very same shift, which the title of it, Getting Revenge on the People Who Offlined Us, which consisted of a lot of PvP. And funnily enough, whilst we were creating our team of CNQR, we were looking at players to recruit, and we came to YouTube for that. And this is where we subtly asked if you wanted to join. This video got a lot of positive feedback. People wanted to see more, as this content wasn't at its peak. There was only a handful of people making quality content with good PvP and good storyline. And whilst those handful of people were creating content, the rest of the community was still trying to get to grips with the game. January 10th, 2022 is when AD decided to put the controller down. Everyone has their reasons for quitting a game, specifically Rust Console. It's a game that's just totally different from your average Call of Duty, FIFA, Madden, 2K. This game takes dedication, perseverance, and above all, practice. But with Rust Console and the gaming community on console in general, practice was becoming less and less relevant.
Alright, so as you guys can see from the title, I'm going to be quitting console Rust. We're going to be moving to PC. My trio is going to move over to PC and see what we can do over there, not just with Rust, but console gaming in general. I feel really limited on here, and you know, I'm just bored of it. I wanna try PC out. It's a bit sad that it has come to an end, because I mean, over the 6-month period I've been grinding these videos out. Only just recently started getting a lot of recognition when I started making the wipe progression videos. You know, obviously you guys, I gained a lot of new fans, or fans, how cringe is that? New subscribers from that.
Being a part of the gaming community for over a decade, whilst you want to be the best, it's always been great to see people, even if it's a handful of people, to be the best at the game they play, because you have people to look up to and to strive to go against. However, with the gaming community nowadays, that's just not in existence anymore. Everybody has the same recoil control, and no one can tell what is good and what isn't anymore. And as of today, the competitive side of Rust Console, whichever way you want to take it, whether it be legit or cheating, has died. I reached out to AD to see if he was able to give a more in-depth explanation as to why he quit and if he would return, as it's been nearly 2 years. I wanted to see his opinion on where the game's at now.
Honestly, I would say the main reason that we decided to quit from a lack of content being added to the game. You know, we got really bored after about a year of consistently playing. Of course, when there's hardware limitations and you're trying to port over, you know, certain aspects of a game, but the consoles don't want to support it, then, you know, you're going to have problems and updates are going to be delayed and delayed and delayed. Yeah, eventually we just got mad bored. Also the PvP aspect as well, we got kind of bored. I'm trying to say it without sounding like cocky, but we were mainly uncontested from the whole time that we played the game. And that did make the game boring as well. Sure, we lost team fights, etc. And there was certain times where, you know, we were struggling in the game, but for the vast majority of it, it was the complete opposite. That's specifically why we stuck as a duo or a trio throughout the whole time playing the game, because if it was any larger of a group size, then there would be no challenge in the game. We just found it more fun when we were outnumbered, fighting like large clans or large teams, especially when it came to, you know, raid defense, etc. That's how we enjoyed the game anyway. But yeah, and then obviously the cheating aspect you've got to factor in as well. At the start of the game, there was little to no cheaters, to be honest. I didn't even know really how bad the cheating scene was. I never played Siege really. So I wasn't aware of how bad cheating was, but then, you know, as Rust Console progressed and gained more popularity over time, etc., you know, a lot of cheaters started the game, because, let's be honest, prime game to cheat on, right? Rewards good aim, and yeah, it just makes sense. So as time grew, there was way more cheaters getting into the game, a lot more annoying and frustrating to deal with. And eventually I was like, if I'm going to play against mouse and keyboard players, I may as well just get one myself. And instead of, you know, buying a device and ruining the game even further, then I was like, nah, I'll move to PC and I'll play with a mouse and keyboard on there instead. I mean, that was hard because, you know, I grafted a lot of hours and even days into editing, trying to build the YouTube channel up from nothing. I mean, I was using the most primitive editing tools you can imagine. Like, I was using Share Factory on the PlayStation. I know you're a Xbox player, but if anyone playing PlayStation and editing on there, they know that is absolutely horrible. And trying to edit like a 2-hour or 1-hour video with that is, yeah, it's horrible. But I did it out of pure passion for the game. I really liked the game. And eventually I was like, if I don't like the game anymore and I'm not enjoying my time on the game, then it doesn't make sense for me to, you know, keep playing it and just making videos for money. Like, I played the game for passion, and I liked the game, and when that stopped, then I just stopped making videos, just eventually quit. The only way I can see me returning to the game somehow is if they manage to fix the cheating first and foremost, and that goes for pretty much every first-person shooter competitive game that doesn't have aim assist. It's on console, it's just rough. I don't know how they're going to fix it. I'm not clued up in the topic, but I mean, I pray that they can fix it sometime soon, because it must be horrible. But yeah, I enjoyed my time on Rust Console, enjoyed the countless hours in the game and the people that I ran into, and yeah, it was great.
Whether AD knew it or not, he inspired a lot of players on this game to get better regarding PvP and recoil control. A lot of the players that I've known in the community right now looked up to this very player. In every game you play or in every game you watch, there will be a player that is above the rest, whether it's because they are generally gifted at just being good at video games and learn quicker than others, or they just practiced and practiced and practiced. And on Rust Console, fortunately enough for AD, he was one of those players.